Alright, welcome back. Time to take a look at the next Force Auxiliary. This is Ninazu. I hope that I pronounced that name right. Now, this ship kind of reminds me on the Hyperion design-wise. It almost looks like the Hyperion with a lot of added extra armor and with a huge maintenance bay on the back of the ship. So let's take a look at the ship description and trait characteristics as usual. Now the roll bonus plus 400% endless link activation time, jump drive available, can fit command burst modules, plus 200% command burst effective range, main weapons cannot be fitted, and can operate super heavy logistic drones, basically the same as with the other auxiliaries. Advanced logistic drone operation bonus will give plus 100% drone armor repair, plus 5% drone flight velocity, plus 20 km drone command range. Advanced force auxiliary command bonus will give you plus 7.5% armor repair, minus 4% remote armor repair activation time, minus 10% remote armor repair capacitor need. And the advanced carry command bonus will give you plus 3% armored command burst strength and plus 6% skirmish command burst strength. Overall, it looks really nice. So this ship follows the same principle as the Moros does. It has extra armor repair, over resistance, and extra drone armor repair, which is interesting. Now, 4 drones, 6 high slots, 4 medium slots, 7 low slots, 3 combat and 3 engineering rigs, so for the highest crowd capacity. The fuel tank capacity is the same with the other auxiliaries, 920,000 hit points. The Ninazu is primarily a armor tank. Don't shield tank your Ninazu, it's not going to work really well. 67,000 gigajoule is the capacitor, 1,120 seconds recharge time, 87.89 gigajoule per second is the recharge rate per second. Can lock 7 targets, 9.3 km signature radius, 60 meters scan resolution, 80 meters per second is the velocity, 1.5 astronomical kilometers per second is the warp speed. Overall, very comparable, very similar to the other Force auxiliaries. So, let's take a look at the build of this ship. Now, as expected, 0 DPS with a full Logi build. Now, 3009 armor repair every 6 seconds is, I would say, it does appear a little bit underwhelming, but don't forget that the cycle time is quite fast. The range and accuracy fall-off is basically the same as with the other armor repair Force auxiliaries. The armored command burst has a 90 km range. Now the effect does appear to be a little bit lower. I think it's because of the skill per level bonus. Other auxiliaries have plus 6%, while this one has plus 3% per skill level, so that might appear to be a little bit lower. But the skirmish command has the same 90 km range, but it does appear to have a little bit more strength to it, and I like that aspect of the ship. The command burst, especially the skirmish command burst, can be very helpful in a fleet. Now let's take a look at the drones. They repair 5,110 every 7.5 seconds, which is, I would say, so far the best drone repair performance out of all Force auxiliaries. So the Ninazu does rely on the drones to do the repair, and they're also a little bit faster, and they have a faster orbit speed than the other armor repair Force auxiliaries. 155 km is the drone command range. Overall, really solid drone stats. In the low slots I have the same setup as on the Apostle. This is one of the builds that you can use: triple adaptives, dual batteries, and dual armor repairs. 47,000 armor repaired every 18.14 seconds, because the ship does have a bonus on extra armor repair, which is very nice. Now the capacitor 1 minute and 48 seconds, and on to the rigs. Now, because this ship doesn't have any resistance bonuses, I decided to go with the good old triple 4P combat integration modules. And I did this to compensate for the missing resistance percentage from the skill per level bonus. The Apostle and the Minokawa don't have the need to have the integration modules. At least 3 of them. I did use 2 of them and 1 normal rig, but for this ship, because it does lack resistance, I decided to go with 3 of them. And so far the resistances look really nice. The engineering rigs have maximum capacitor performance. They're built for maximum capacitor performance. Now on to the implants. The implant that you should be using on a logistic ship, especially on a armor logistic ship, is the remote armor implant, and this one works really well. The same setup as on the Apostle will work exactly the same on this ship, and here I will just quickly show you the secondaries that I have active, and I will show you the general units as well. Level 15, level 30 is more than enough. You don't have to go the extra way to go and get the level 45 one. It's a little bit overkill. Level 30, even level 15 works really well, because at level 15 you get the extra resistances. And besides the armor repair implant, you can actually use the thermal circulation implant for extra tank. If you like to go full tank on this ship, then the thermal circulation implant is also a interesting choice because of the level 15 passive effect that will give you extra resistance. And these are the general units. Now I thought to check out if there is any repair drone implant and unit, but that doesn't exist, so that's one aspect that you might not be able to improve. But the drones do get a 500% repair bonus from the skills, so that should be more than enough. And you can immediately see the effect on the armor repairs. 3791, it got increased by 26%. It was 3009, now it's 3700. But the drones remain around the same, and the tank 1.8 million cold hit points. Okay, now here you can take a look at this ship in full detail. Now I tried not to call this ship the ugliest force auxiliary, but it's definitely not the prettiest force auxiliary. I would say the prettiest and best looking ones are Minokawa and the Apostle. Let me just quickly turn off the tactical overlay, just so that you have a better view on the ship without the overlay lines. Yeah, that's definitely very interesting looking ship. It does look like a huge Myrmidon with some added armor and a hangar bay on the back. But the design choice on the force auxiliaries is generally following the same ideology. All of these ships are pretty tall and they're pretty big. Okay, let's load up the fuel tank on this thing, and now let's check out the active stats on the Ninazu. This ship has a very good sounding name though. Minokawa and Ninazu have a very interesting sounding name. I like that. The logistic support mode is still the same, that hasn't been changed on this ship. And now let's boot up all the repair modules and drones so that we can check out the tank. 3.8 million, 83, 89, 89 and 84% resistance. This ship also has a little bit lower armor hit point value. Minokawa and the Apostle have a lot of shield. They cross the 500,000 line, while this ship is at 475,000 hit points, which will affect the ending result on the hit points. The repairs have been improved, now at 5.6 thousand, repaired every 6 seconds. 7,665 every 7.5 seconds on the armor logistic drones. Now it's 11,853 on the armor repair because of the logistic support mode. kind of weird to have the bonus on armor repair, especially after you lose armor repair when you enter the logistic support mode. 4.7 million hit points, 87, 91, 92 and 88% resistance once the implant is active and when the implant resistances kick in. Now, with dual capacitor batteries, this ship has around the same capacitor usage as the Minokawa because of the faster cycle on the remote armor repairs. So with two capacitor batteries, your capacitor will probably not be stable enough if you are in a small fleet, but if you are part of a big fleet that has a lot of group capacitor boosters running, you should be good. However, in a smaller fleet and with a more serious logistic build, I would slap 3 or 4 capacitor batteries on this ship. And with that build, this ship should be close to capacitor stable. Basically in the same manner as the other 2 Force auxiliaries that I have tested out. So let me unlock and I will go to show you the other builds that I have for this ship. Now so far the builds that I mostly enjoyed on the Force auxiliaries is a combination of capacitor batteries, tank and armor repairs, usually 2 armor repairs and 3 capacitor batteries. I would say that is perhaps the not the best choice, but the universal choice that should be working really well for a lot of situations. Okay, now this is the build with a damage control and a reactive armor hardener, just to see how much resistance I can get out of this ship. Now the tank says 4.5 million, 87, 90, 90 and 86%, which is solid. Again, a little bit lower than the previous 2 Force auxiliaries, but that's because it doesn't have the resistance bonus. 90, 93, 93 and 90% with the implant and with the damage control as the panic button. 16.8 million hit points, 97, 97, 98 and 96% resistance, which is pretty solid. However, with the same build I think I got slightly higher hit points and slightly higher resistances on the previous Force auxiliary ships. Now it's 4.5 million, 87, 90, 90 and 86, which is basically the default value on this ship. And the capacitor is looking really good. Even after the implants have been enabled, they still help out a lot with maintaining the capacitor. Now I think having a faster cycle is pretty nice. Can repair faster, but at the same time having a high repair mouth per repairer is also really good. I guess in the end it depends on the situation and on the fleet preference, but so far I kind of like how this ship works. Okay, let's dock, let's swap the build and then we can test out the quad capacitor battery setup. Now if you are a more serious logistic pilot, then this might be the build to go. Should allow me to have a really decent capacitor, while at the same time should also allow me to have some decent tank. Especially if you fly with multiple Force auxiliaries that have the same implant, because keep in mind the implant does give extra resistance to the target that you repair. So in a good fleet you will have decent resistance as well as a very good capacitor. Okay, let's take a look at the stats. 3.3 million, The resistances are now slightly lower because of the extra capacitor batteries, and only one armor repair means that you will repair the armor a little bit less than before. Now it's 4 million, 84, 90, 85 and 86% resistance. It's still roughly the same, even with the second implant active. The second implant gives your target that you repair a damage control effect that will last for 30 seconds, which is again very useful. It also works if you are the target that's being repaired. Also very useful thing. Now let's see how the capacitor holds with this build. It should last a lot better. If you are careful with the capacitor battery cycles, you can get some really decent capacitor runtimes on this ship. Definitely a lot more stable than the Minokawa, because after all, even with a fast cycle time, you still are using armor repairs, and they use less capacitor than the remote shield boosters. With the Minokawa I got around 1 minute and 10 seconds, I believe, on the capacitor. With the armor repair, even with the cycle time being more faster, I still get better capacitor than the better capacitor runtime than on the shield repair for auxiliaries, which makes me very curious how will Leaf perform with the remote shield boosters. I don't think that the capacitor on that ship will last very long. So far the Minokawa and the Apostle seem to be one of the better choices for fleets, because those ships are more robust and they seem to repair good, and they last. Their capacitor does last for a very long time. Now the capacitor is at 49%. The capacitor batteries are exiting the cooldown, which means that this ship does pass the capacitor test with the 4 capacitor batteries. It should run really well in a fleet. However, it does require that you have a lot of good skills for these ships if you want the maximum possible capacitor performance out of these things. Okay, let's dock and let's check out the DPS on this ship. Now, as we have seen so far in the previous tests, the DPS on 4 auxiliaries is, not good at all. But at the same time, that's expected. These ships are not meant to be combat ships. It would be pretty ridiculous if these ships could have very high DPS. You can bet that players would refuse these ships for DPS if you could make them a combat ship, like we have the bait logistic ships nowadays that are built for PvP. When I say bait logistics, I mean the bait cruisers, bait battle cruisers. They seem to be working really well for that aspect. Okay, now let me find a target. Let's launch the drones and let's see how quickly this ship can kill a NPC frigate. Now, none of these ships has a bonus on large drones. None of these ships has a bonus on large drone DPS. Well, let me actually correct myself. They have a bonus on drones, the control range, which is 135 kilometers. Okay. Well, it seems to be doing some decent damage on that frigate. However, nothing spectacular. So this means you can defend yourself against small ships. However, tanky ships will be a problem. You will not have DPS to go and shoot on the tank ships. 205.74. Okay, exactly the same as with the other force auxiliaries. Now, these are the large drones. How about I test out sentry drones? They should have a little bit higher DPS, but they will not be able to move. So that's going to be another issue that you will encounter with changing to the sentry drones. I see that this little window is still clunky as ever. Optimal range 22.5, accuracy falloff 40.5. That's a little bit too close to comfort if I want to use this for this type of purpose. And the tracking on the sentry drones is also not good, so 0.04. Yeah, not the best. 229.15. Well, that's definitely not looking good. So even with sentry drones, you can't really do much with this ship, and with basically any other force auxiliary. So, can you use sentry drones on the force auxiliary? You can. Is it recommended? No, don't use sentries on any force auxiliary. You will not have enough range, and the tracking of these things is horrible, so you will not be able to hit a frigate or a cruiser that starts orbiting you. And for some reason you will also be lacking range. So small drones, medium drones and large drones are okay, but
warp drive active.
Drones, no. Don't use sentry drones on the force auxiliary. Which again, I'm surprised. I expected at least 80 kilometer range, but seems like that's not happening. So I guess I will stick with the large, medium and small drones on this ship. Now there's also another question that I was asked. Can you use mining drones on the force auxiliaries? Well, let's find out. So I have changed the build a little bit, and now I'm warping towards an asteroid belt or asteroid cluster. Haven't really seen at what I clicked. Asteroid belt, okay. And we're about to find out if the force auxiliaries can be used as mining ships. And my apologies for sounding distracted. I am a little bit distracted here, have to doing something in the background, so I might pause the narration for a moment or two. My apologies for that. Okay, landing on the asteroid belt, and we're about to find out, can this thing be used for mining? This is something that I would never recommend that you try. Don't do this. Again, don't do this. If someone scans your ship, you are going to be swarmed by a big fleet in a matter of seconds. So, mining drones are out, and let's see what happens. Now it can fit mining drones. It can fit mining drones, surprisingly, or not surprisingly. I mean, they're classified as large ones, so So that's why you can use them on this thing. Now the drones are locking me on. That's interesting. And okay, I see how this works. So this basically scoops up loot from anything in the vicinity of the mothership. And these are some very creepy looking drones. I think I never looked at these drones up close, but they do look very, very creepy, not gonna lie. They almost look like some nightmarish creatures that lurk around in the depths of space. Well then, this is the cargo hold. Yeah, not going to hold a lot of stuff inside, that's for sure. But it can be used for mining. It can't fit fighters, it can't fit the rorqual drones, the exhumer drones, you can't fit them. But you can fit the normal mining drones without a problem. A little bit cursed, yes, not going to deny that, but it works. Which doesn't mean that you should do this. Again, don't attempt something like this with your own ship. It's going to be yeeted pretty quickly if it gets scanned. But yeah, that answers the question. Can you mine with the 4 auxiliaries? Yes, you can. Okay, let me go and dock, and then we can go to do the final test for today, which is, I think, the most fun aspect of this video. And
warp drive active.
On most of the test videos that I do here, this is the most exciting part. Let's see how this ship does against some gate guns and against Concord. Now, the last 2 4 auxiliaries did last a long time against the gate guns. Honestly, I'm quite impressed by how much damage these things did take and how long they actually last. I think these are the longest lasting ships against
warp
gate
drive
guns
active
that we have seen so far in the game. 87, 90, 90 and 86%, 4.2 million hit points. Now, I'll be honest here, I expect this ship to survive a little bit less than the Minokawa or the Apostle, because it has lower armor hit points and it has lower resistances, so I don't really expect this ship to last as long as some of the previous ships did. With the command burst, it's 5 million, 89, 91, 91 and 88% resistance. And with the panic mode, the tank is 14 million, 14.9 million, 96, 97, 97 and 96%. Again, a little bit lower than the previous ships. On the Minokawa, I did hit 99%.
warp drive active.
I think it was on explosive. The rest was 98%, 98.5%. And that was really, really tanky. If I had another 4 auxiliary to repair me, I could actually tank the gate guns. And that is quite hilarious. Okay. Now let me launch the drones. I also forgot to show you the resistance value with the implant active. I will do that in a second. Let me quickly lock on the drones first. Okay. Now I will show you the resistance with the implant and with the damage control active, as well as the skirmish command, the armor skirmish command. just so that I show you the maximum resistance value and maximum hit point value before I go and yeet at the gate gun. 18.8 million, 97, 98, 98 and 97% resistance. 425,000 armor hit points. Okay, it's a little bit lower. 100,000 armor lower for some reason. But it's time. Let's yeet this at the gate gun. It will take 27 seconds to lock the gate gun on. Even if you try to repair the gate gun, I think they will still kill you, so let's see what happens here. How long will this ship last? Okay, everything ready. Implant is active. And I got aggression.
Shield
Damage
damaged.
kicked in. Well, this did not last nearly as long as I expected it to last. It definitely went down a lot faster than the previous two force auxiliaries. And that's a big difference in overall hit points. A massive difference, 10 million difference in hit points between the ships. Well, that was a very nice and pretty explosion. Well then, one of the more interesting looking wrecks. I will still add a little bit more rubble around the wreck just to make it a little bit more realistic, but this also looks very nice. So, if I have to rank them by tank, I would say the Ninazu is definitely the least tanky one. The first one would be Minokawa, second one Apostle, and the third one would be this ship. 88 billion loss mail, not bad. It's the second most expensive one, according to the loss report over here. Minokawa was 83 billion and the Apostle 89 billion. Very interesting. But the Ninazu felt like the least tanky one. Oh well, in any case, that was a very nice little run with the Ninazu. Definitely very interesting capital logistic ship, and definitely has some advantages over the other force auxiliary tested so far. So with that being said, hope that you enjoyed, and next time when I return I'll be taking a look at the Minimator force auxiliary. So with that being said, stay safe, fly safe, and I'll see you next time.